Welcome, Harrison's son, Kathryn's son,
Hello.
and Daniel's son, the only one who got his name right tonight. I believe all you guys already know each other. Yeah.
Well, know of each other in some cases.
Have you never been on with Dr. Kathryn Harrison?
I don't believe so.
Well, Dr. Kathryn, please meet my acquaintance Harrison from Australia.
Hello.
Hello.
Could you turn up your microphone just a little louder?
Me?
Just turn it up louder. Yeah, you're a little quiet. Everybody else's seems fine.
Is that better?
Yes. So welcome to the show, Dr. Kathryn. This is your first time on Grab a Stack of Rock. And tonight we're going to be doing your topic choice, which was Karate Kid and Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Now, since Harrison and I, we barely have any of that stuff, we're going to do a few other things, but we're going to let you and Rob kind of take the floor for most of it. That's presumably Rob. But Kathryn's got some cool stuff. We know that. And we're going to run some videos a little bit later on. But as you guys all know, we always like to start our show with a little thing called Ask Harrison. So tonight we actually have two questions. One of them is for Harrison, and then one of them is for Mike and the rest of the group. Which one would you like to hear first? Ask Harrison or ask the group? No choice? No? Okay, we're going to go with Harrison.
We're going to hear them both eventually.
Okay, we're going to start with Ask Harrison. And this is a question from a new person. His name is...
Hello, Harrison, me mate, me biggest fan. How am ya? You good? All right then. You know, it's something I've always wanted to ask you. As me biggest fan, do you prefer me working Iron Maiden? Or do you prefer me work as a solo artist? Or perhaps you prefer Wolf's Bane best? You know, just something I've always wanted to know. Anyway, good seeing ya. Take good care of yourself.
Harrison.
Yes.
Your reaction?
Well, that's a tough one. I can say that Wolf Spain is not my favorite.
You're so stoic. That was awesome. That was awesome, dude.
Yes, it goes without saying.
I see you're smiling. I'll take that as a reaction. You are so stoic. It's unbelievable. Anyway.
Yeah. The world could be ending and I'd be just like, oh, is it tea time?
Anyway, would you like to answer Blaze Bailey's question? Do you prefer his work in Iron Maiden?
As I mentioned slightly earlier, Wolfsbane's my least favorite. It's hard to judge out of the other two. He's got more songs from his solo career that I like because he's been at it much longer. But I do like his Maiden era very much, including the live stuff. So I can't really say, like, I'm glad he went solo because we got great stuff with it. And I'm glad he went in Maiden because we got great stuff from it. I'm just going to say that I wouldn't change history, except maybe to make his solo career a bit more popular.
That would be a good change, yes. That's a great answer. And by the way, that was T-Bone Erickson who did that,
Mm-hmm.
as if we didn't know that. That was me. And
Blaze calling you to.
Blaze calling me. He's like, "Oh, thank you, mate." I thought he got his voice down really good. Like that's very close to how he sounds in some interviews. Okay, so here's question number 2, primarily for me, but also for the group. We're going to want a group opinion. Here we go.
Might be back. Hi there, Mike. Greetings from the road. I'm doing 7 miles today. I was thinking, listening to music and listening to alternative rock, and a Nickelback song just came on. Curious what your thoughts and anybody else's thoughts who were there with you today. What your thoughts about Nickelback are. I know how Americans think about Nickelback, but what about you? Are they the most hated band in Canada, even though they're from Canada? Anyway, hope you guys are doing well tonight, and I look forward to hearing all your answers. Bye!
So I would like to say I can't imagine running 7 miles, let alone. Anyway, awesome job. I think they are the most hated band in Canada. What do you guys think? Yeah, okay.
I
And
can't
Harrison,
really comment on Canada, but
I asked you to find out
Yes,
what
yes.
they're hated in Australia.
well, I wasn't around at the time when they were, up and coming and through, so I haven't been present for a lot of the discourse surrounding them. I did go digging and find an article from an opinion piece from 2015 that was interesting, saying hating on Nickelback is getting old. It's mean and unnecessary. They're still human beings, and one day it might get all too much for them. They give the substitutes of the Foo Fighters at U2 and Kid Rock for pretentious, pompous idiots to direct our bile at. And this whole thing was prompted by a joke be on the lookout that the Queensland police, which are up here, put out for Nickelback for crimes against music.
Oh, good.
So we're on both sides of the spectrum.
It seems you are. They have a lot of defenders in Canada. Do either of you two guys have any opinions about Nickelback?
Well, as a federally mandated radio station, I am federally mandated by the CRTC to like Nickelback.
Fair.
As my own personal opinion, they're not bad.
Okay. Dr. Kathryn?
I hate Nickelback. I think they're absolutely terrible. I lived in Alberta for 3 years, and I would say that I think they're a little more popular there.
Yes.
Not quite so hated as elsewhere, but I personally can't stand their music, and I think it all sounds the same.
I had 2 issues with Nickelback. We were talking about this, Jennifer and I were talking about Nickelback, and I came down to 2 things. One of them is, take a look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh. And we still don't know what the hell was on Joey's head. That's such a terrible song. And the other one was, I like your pants around your feet. I hate that. I think they suck. I think they're kind of like lowest common denominator kind of music, like not very sophisticated. A lot of people, they got a lot of defenders though. So yeah, I would say Nickelback are the most hated band in Canada. That seems to be the consensus here with the Canadians on the panel tonight. And that's the end of that chapter. Shall we start with the Karate Kid and Cobra Kai stuff? Well, Dr. Kathryn, I thought we'd start with you because you are the super fan. You've got the Cobra. Now, is that the actual logo from the show?
It's the logo that is shown in the show in the Cobra Kai dojo. So I don't know if you can see it.
No mercy.
It says "Strike First, Strike Hard, No Mercy," and then on the arm it says "Sweep the
Sweep
Leg."
the leg. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, we got a lot of Nickelback comments. That's not fair. He still is, I think, and Chris Sarr is wrong.
Yeah, I do have one question. Is it Chad Kroger's voice, or is it the band that is hated the most?
I'd say a little bit more Kroger because I think the other 3 guys are fairly anonymous. I think you could replace them with 3 other guys very easily. Anyway, just my opinion.
Just a question.
Yeah. I think Daniel's son would probably, kick them in the nuts with the crane maneuver, but that's just my opinion. Daniel's son may have a different opinion. I'm referring to Ralph Macchio, not you.
Of course. Not me. No.
But anyway, Dr. Kathryn, did you want to start with any of your collectibles? We also have a video that we're going to run, but we'll save that for when you show off the associated book, I think.
Yeah, sure. I have a fair bit of stuff. I'm not showing everything I have, but yeah, I guess before I start showing stuff, I just want to say that I'm a huge fan of the Cobra Kai TV show. It started with my love of the first Karate Kid movie, which I saw as a kid, not in the theater, but my
Super
family
Channel.
Yeah, and we. I remember my mom told me go down to the basement and like record this movie because she wanted to see it, and I don't know, she was doing something else and couldn't watch it at the time it was airing. So I went down to turn on the VCR and I just stayed down there and watched it. And I remember it was mind blowing. I loved that movie so much. And there was a period of time where I think I popped the tape in like every single day to watch it. And in later years, I was never super into the sequels. There are kind of two main sequels to the original Karate Kid. There's Karate Kid 2 and 3, but then there's two other films that sort of count, which is the next Karate Kid with Hilary Swank. And then there was the Karate Kid reboot with Jaden Smith, I think.
Yep. And Jackie Chan.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's really bad. The second Karate Kid film, though, I did enjoy that as a kid. I just wasn't quite as familiar with it. So
Can I pause one second?
Yeah.
Is this memory correct that at the very beginning of the movie, the girlfriend crashes Daniel's car? And I think you really hated that was the way they started the movie. He's like, oh, she crashed his car.
Yeah, they don't show it. It's a one-line throwaway.
Oh, really?
Dialogue. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and
just to write her out of the storyline?
Yeah, and
Wow.
I'll show it in a moment, but I'm reading Ralph Macchio's book right now, which is all about his experience in the Karate Kid films and Cobra Kai. And I just got past the chapter where he talks about that and how upset he was that they didn't invite Elizabeth Shue back for the second film, and then they just wrote her off, like just, oh yeah, she got into a car crash, like she's an idiot, and then you never hear from that character again.
Wow.
Until Cobra Kai. Because she does come back in Cobra Kai. But when the show Cobra Kai was first announced, it was on YouTube. So you had to have the I don't remember what there's like a subscription service, YouTube Premium or something like that. And that's where it was first available. And I remember seeing the trailers and I was like, man, I want to watch this, but it looks really dumb. And so I didn't watch it until it made its way to Netflix because I already had a Netflix subscription. So I'm like, what do I have to lose watching it? And man, after one episode, I was like, I feel like this show was made for me. Like it just feels like the people that made that show obviously love the source material. They're obviously fans. They obviously see it like I do. And as that show goes on, I will say that season 3 takes a little bit of a dip. I don't think it's as good as the other seasons, but man, it comes back full force in season 4. And I think season 4 and 5 are the two best seasons yet. And today they just announced that season 6 is coming, and it is season. There will not be any others after that. So the way they make this show is it just keeps building. They bring back more characters, and the showrunners have said that if you appeared in any iteration of any kind of Karate Kid film, like you're fair game to be in the TV show. And they've got almost everyone that appeared in the 3 main films has come back. There's really just one exception to that, which is, I don't know if anyone remembers the character Dutch, who is a Cobra Kai in the first film. He's like the other blonde guy who's kind of a dick, and he's played by Chad McQueen, who is Steve McQueen's son.
Oh, neat.
And he's a huge fan favorite character, and he is pretty much the only kind of main-ish character, not even main character, but character that anyone would remember that has not come back. And that's just because he's hasn't really been able to with his schedule because he like does car racing and stuff now or something.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's an interesting story.
yeah, but since watching Cobra Kai, I had never seen the third Karate Kid film until about a year ago, which I only watched because they started bringing those characters in, and that's like, well, I think I should probably know a bit about who these people are and what they did in that film. But yeah, so season 6 is coming, and I don't know if this is going to happen, but rumor has it that everyone really wants Hilary Swank to be in that one because she technically is part of that world.
Absolutely.
As the next Karate Kid. And I've heard that she's been asked about that several times, and she says that she's a fan of the show. And
well, there you go. It's going to happen.
So I hope so. So I just wanted to give a little bit of that background info before showing some of my stuff here. But,
super fan right there.
Yeah. So I mentioned the Ralph Macchio book. This just came out in the fall. I don't remember when exactly, but it's called Waxing On: The Karate Kid and Me. And it's not Ralph Macchio's life story. It's only his life story as it pertains to the Karate Kid. So the book starts when he's being considered for the role of Daniel. And fun fact is that the original name of the character was not Daniel LaRusso. It was Danny Weber. And they changed the name to Daniel LaRusso because they hired someone who's obviously Italian and doesn't really look like a Weber. So they changed it to all because of him. And the book is autographed.
Wow, there it is.
So, yeah.
That's cool.
And I've got a certificate of authenticity that has come with it, purchased through Premier Collectibles.
Nice.
Cool.
So I'll leave the other book for last, but
Sure.
I'm also really into like wearables. So, I got my Cobra Kai hoodie. I have Cobra Kai.
Nice. You're totally on the bad side though, right? Like Cobra Kai.
Yeah, it's way more fun. I've got this Cobra Kai t-shirt, which is very similar to my hoodie. This is the logo that appears on the gis that the Cobra Kai members wear when they're training.
Now speak to me as if I don't know anything. Is that the kind of the cloak, the karate cloak?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's
how do you spell gi?
I want to say it's GII, but I'm not 100% sure.
We're getting so many comments about your stuff, by the way.
Oh, cool. I got way more. I also, unless you've watched the show Karate Kid, you won't understand what this is. But for anyone who's watching the show, I've got a rare Eagle Fang karate t-shirt.
What is that? Look at the eagle's got freaking snake fangs with venom.
Yeah. So what that shirt is in the show, the character of Johnny, who's like the main bad guy in the first film.
Played by
William Zabka.
Zabka, that's right.
Yeah. So he starts his own. At first he brings back Cobra Kai, and then John Kreese comes back, who's like the head of the dojo, and then they get into it, and Johnny goes and forms his own dojo, and he thinks that Eagle Fang Karate is like the most badass name. And
well, it kind of is. It's an eagle with venom coming off of snake fangs.
Yeah.
It's kind of the most badass thing that you're not going to find a more badass thing in nature.
Yeah.
Look at that. Yes, it would.
Yeah, and there's some funny moments in the plot where his students are very confused because eagles don't have fangs, and they're like, "Did you mean talons?" And he's like, "This is badass." But anyways, that's my Eagle Fang t-shirt, which I absolutely love. They're very hard to get. And then my mom got me these really awesome action figures for my birthday. So we've got Daniel here. He's fully posable. He's got
adult Daniel.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah. So he's got the so this is the gi that he's wearing,
right,
with the Miyagi-Do logo. wearing the same headband
Yeah.
as the original film, and the one he wears in the TV show is the actual headband from the
It
original
still
film.
exists.
Yep. And also, fun fact: if you remember the yellow car that Daniel, Mr. Miyagi gives to Daniel in the film
Yes.
for his birthday,
That she crashes.
well, apparently Ali crushes it, but Ralph Macchio owns that vehicle. It's his. He bought it after the film, and he brought it to one of the premieres of one of the Cobra Kai.
Wait, like he bought it way back in like 1985 or 84 or whatever?
Yep.
Wow.
He
That's
still owns it. Yeah.
is this all stuff that you've just gotten from these books that or is this stuff you've always known?
No, it's from the books, and I watched like a million videos on.
It's like I am like so impressed here. Like I knew we'd have an expert, but it's like my mind is actually like blowing. Like every 10 seconds, it's blowing from something new.
It's my I'm not exaggerating when I say it is legit my favorite show of all time. Like I don't love any show like I love this one.
Wow.
But with the figure, it comes with this little Miyagi-Do karate stand.
Yep.
So in the show, there's the three schools. There's Miyagi-Do, which is Daniel's. There's Eagle Fang, which is Johnny's, and Cobra Kai, which is John Kreese's.
Yeah, yeah.
Daniel also comes with a little mini bonsai tree.
We're going to be talking about that bonsai tree in a little bit. When we come around to my turn.
We get the Johnny figure, which is adult Johnny, and he is not wearing the Cobra Kai.
Oh, he's not. Yeah.
On the back because he's only really a Cobra Kai in season 1, but he still comes with the Cobra Kai stand, and he comes with a bunch of different hands, and one of them is holding a little cell phone because there's a plot story where he wants to get back in touch with Ali at the end of season 2, and he throws the phone away. So that's what that's from. Yeah, and then I also have this this cool book. So I mentioned that.
Okay. Yes.
I never watched Karate Kid 3 until a year ago because some of those characters were making their way into the show, and there's kind of two kind of main bad guy characters in Karate Kid 3, and the one is Terry Silver, who is sort of you learn that he's sort of this multi-millionaire that owns the Cobra Kai studio.
He's the greasy ponytail guy.
Yeah.
The late 80s ponytail guy.
Yes. He comes back in season 4. The actor, Thomas Ian Griffith, actually retired from acting like back in 2007. If you look up his IMDb page, he's got like nothing after 2007 because he quit the business he was done.
So he's not on Cobra Kai.
No, he is. He
Whoa.
came out of retirement just to do Cobra Kai.
Whoa.
He's amazing at it. He's the reason why I love season 4 and 5. But the other character from Karate Kid 3 is Mike Barnes, who is he's the bad guy that Daniel has to fight at the end of the film. And Daniel had no business winning that fight, but of course he does win. And the actor of that who plays the role is named Sean Kanan. And so Sean Kanan actually wrote and released 2 books that I don't know the second one. The second one just came out a couple months ago, but this is his first one, which is called Way of the Cobra. The second one is called Welcome to the Kumite. And this one is autographed as well.
Okay, we're going to zoom in on this.
So it says, to Kathryn, welcome to the dojo, Sean Kanan.
Yes, he did train Daniel because I think Daniel wanted to learn like a more vicious kind of karate in that. I think that
Daniel joins the Cobra Kais. And
yeah.
And that's if you want to see what the actor looks like, that's him.
Oh, we're gonna see what the actor looks like.
Yeah. So those are kind of the main things that I brought to the table to show.
Well, that was freaking awesome. I'm glad I don't have much to show off, but we're gonna go to Daniel's son, which is this is so confusing. There's Daniel's son, and then there's Daniel's son. We're gonna go to Daniel's son and see what you have up for grabs tonight.
Well, I have really not a lot in the way of Cobra Kai. However, I do have this, which is the Cobra Kai. I believe it's the season 1 soundtrack.
Nice.
It was. I found it at the record store, and
We
was
can
very
say the name. We can say the name as long as it's not in print. The beat goes on.
okay. The beat goes on, and it's got. I mean, it's Zach Robinson and Leo Brienberg, but it also uses themes from Bill Conti's scores from the various Karate Kid films. It's the only real Karate Kid stuff I have. They did release a full Karate Kid soundtrack set a couple of years ago on La La Land. I believe it still is available, but I don't have it. I would have liked to have had it. That's one set that I did end up having. Now, karate related, but not quite, is probably one of my more favorite soundtracks is Enter the Dragon.
Oh yes,
with Lalo Schifrin, and this comes out of a what is it? It was a VHS pack, and it had lobby cards, it had the VHS movie, and it had the soundtrack. Unfortunately, only the soundtrack remains. They did the same thing with The Exorcist as well. Also, something that I think is more on the rarer side is a soundtrack to Bruce Lee's The Big Boss.
Never even heard of this.
And while it was kind of his first foray into films, and basically made him a household name in China. And I mean, he was a household name already because they called it the what was it? Who was his character in Green Hornet?
Kato.
Kato. They called it the Kato Show over in China. But yeah, I mean, this film cemented his early film work, and then of course Enter the Dragon was his final. Yes, Fist of Fury was enough. Yes, you're right. Fist of Fury was The Big Boss as well. So yeah, good one here.
I don't know why Chris Sarr keeps bringing up the hair thing. Like, is there a reason? Does it look fake to anybody? That had never occurred to me, Chris Sarr. I don't know what. That's twice now that he's brought up the hair thing, and I. Why is Harrison drinking straight vodka? Well, that's a good question. We'd have to that he's clearly has a drinking problem, judging by how crazy he always gets. Anyway, that's some cool stuff, Rob. Is that it for this round for you?
That's it for this round. That's all the I mean, I have other stuff kicking around.
Yeah.
Karate and kung fu related, but those are the main things that I brought out for this. Oh, I mean, heck, if I wanted to bring out a character, Donnie Yen's character from Rogue One, Chirrut Emwe.
Yeah, I can't say it either.
Yeah.
What's that big ass gun name for?
Well, that's actually his kind of bow and arrow kind of thing.
Right. So it just reminds me of those old Hasbro Tactics figures.
Well, yeah. You make it too big, or you make it big enough so that the youngins don't end up swallowing that.
It reminds me of in the 90s when, G.I. Joe got really kind of like dumbed down for younger kids, and they started adding like those big, huge missile launchers that this little action figure is holding, and it was ridiculous. And it's like, wow, G.I. Joe's dumb now, really dumb now. I have never thought that in my life. Never thought Harrison ever looked like Timothy Olyphant in any way.
I only know one of those names.
There you go. Well, for a change, I have a soundtrack that Rob either doesn't have or didn't show off tonight, which is this one here.
I do not have that in my collection.
And since I don't have much to show off tonight, I will tell two stories about this. One of which I was surprised that Kathryn hasn't seen this movie or hadn't until last year when it became relevant to Cobra Kai, because I saw it back in 1990. And I can almost tell you exactly, like, we could probably pin the date on the calendar because it was a few days before we were scheduled to go to Alberta that summer of 1990. So August 1990, Bob Shipper and I got together for one last movie rental before we went to Alberta. And for whatever reason, Karate Kid 3 was the movie we chose. And I don't remember barely anything about the movie. I remember the greasy ponytail guy. But I also remember the subplot about the bonsai tree. which was that, a bunch of dudes smashed up Miyagi's bonsai shop, and there were no more bonsai trees. But there was one bonsai tree that he planted on the side of a mountain when he first immigrated here from Okinawa. And, if he had that bonsai tree, he could restart his business and everything would be fine. So Daniel's son takes it upon himself to climb this freaking mountain and get this bonsai tree. And he has to go through like hell and back to get the bonsai tree. And Bob Shipper was like your own homemade riff tracks. So Daniel's son gives this bonsai tree to Miyagi. And before Miyagi can say anything, Bob Shipper just blurts out, "Wrong tree, Daniel's son." That's all I remember about the freaking movie. Anyway, I got this CD at Steve's TV when they were clearing out a lot of their rentals. Their rental back when you could rent CDs. So this would have been like around 1991 that I got this. And the reason I got it, and we'll zoom in on the back, is for this Winger song called "Out for the Count," which, as far as I know, and maybe Tim Derling can clarify, "Out for the Count" is exclusive to this CD, as far as I know. That's why I got it, for whatever they were charging for a rental. There's this track on here called 48 Hours by PBF. PBF is actually Pretty Boy Floyd. Bill Conti, Winger, Money Talks, the Pointer Sisters with the song "Summer in the City," Jude Cole, Glenn, I can't pronounce his last name, Medeiros, The Boys Club, Elizabeth Wolfgram, and the Little River Band. That's who you'll get on the Karate Kid 3 soundtrack. So there you go. There goes the booklet. Bought for one song, and I'm fine with that. And that's all I have for Karate Kid. Maybe since we're talking Karate Kid 3, though, would be a good chance to play the Sean Kanan video. You want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So explain what this is that we're about to see.
So Sean Kanan, the author of this book, Wave the Cobra, who played the character of Mike Barnes in Karate Kid 3 and reprises that role in season 5 of Cobra Kai. I ordered an autographed picture from him, which I wish I could have showed it to you tonight, but it hasn't made its way to me yet in the mail. But yeah, he had a deal on his Instagram page where if you wanted to buy one of the autographed pictures, you could pick whatever picture you wanted, and he'd also send you a personalized message. So this is the I don't have the picture yet, but this is the
You can see the picture in the video.
Yeah, you can see it in the video, so you get the idea of what's hopefully soon to arrive in the mail.
And this will also explain what our subtitle here tonight means. So here is Sean Kanan's personal message.
Hey there, Kathryn. Greetings from Los Angeles. It's Sean Kanan. How are you? Hope you're ready for an epic 2023. I hope the new year brings you everything that you want. Speaking of wanting things, you got Sensei Kreese, Terry Silver, and Mike Barnes right there. I put to Kathryn, your karate's a joke. All the best, Sean Kanan. So I hope you have a wonderful new year, and I'll get this out to you ASAP. Take care.
So I hashtag this, "Your Karate is a Joke," on Instagram, and I clicked that, and I saw there was, a few dozen posts, "Your Karate is a Joke." So my question is that like his famous line from Karate Kid 3 or something? Like, what is that?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the only memorable thing he says in that film. Yeah, I don't think he says that in Cobra Kai, though. I'm pretty sure he doesn't. But yeah, that's where it comes from.
So when he gets in Daniel-san's face and goes, "Your karate is a joke, Daniel-san," or something like that?
Yeah, and it's kind of that's how Daniel wins the fight, is because Mike Barnes is completely kicking his ass. And then Daniel does this like meditative Tai Chi type stuff, and Mike Barnes is confused, and that's the only reason that.
Oh my God! Have you seen the fourth one?
The next Karate Kid?
Yeah,
I did watch it because I wanted to see if Hilary Swank comes back, what her character is all about. The cool thing is that the actor Michael Ironside is in that movie.
Who is he?
Yeah, and there's a lot of fan theories about wouldn't it be awesome if Michael Ironside comes back into if he comes into the Cobra Kai world as well.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah,
I
it was
love that guy.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I have for Karate Kid. So, Harrison, in lieu of Karate Kid tonight, you have some reptilian martial artists that live in sewers, apparently.
Yes, I'd say I'm the contrarian tonight, but that would imply I'm not usually anyway.
Right, you're the resident contrarian.
I've only seen the first Karate Kid when I was a kid, and I distinctively remember not liking it and never revisiting anything to do with that franchise ever again. Sorry, you may now cancel me.
And the viewer count drops.
But yes, in other terms of martial arts, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles hold a special place in my life. Now, the iteration that I am most familiar with is the 2003 version, which is one of the most beloved versions of the franchise. It was made at a low point. They went back to the original Mirage comics for the tone and the style, and the stories took heavy inspiration from that. So it turned out being one of the darkest and most grittiest versions of the Turtles. And the reason why that's interesting is because if you see there, that's for kids.
Yes,
now
it does. Just
for those of
say that.
Yes, for the people who know about the basically dubs of Japanese TV shows, 4Kids handled all of that, and they basically censored everything and anything, guns out, anything, so much got censored, and yet their own in-house department made one of the best, most adult versions of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is just hilarious, really, how that happened. So I've got quite a few DVDs here because the first two seasons were split up into the buy one DVD for 3 episodes, sort of like volume things. And as you can see.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice how they form the head, though.
Yeah. So when I say that spine alignment and lenticular covers were like my childhood, they really were.
So you'd have those lined up on a bookshelf and stuff like that.
I do indeed. There's a big gap over there missing. So from season 1, the Notes from the Underground saga is one of my favorites. Season 1 is all I saw as a kid, and then when I was in about 2020 or 2019, I started revisiting this, going back, getting more of the DVD. One of the other highlights is in The Shredder Strikes Back Part 2. It starts with Leonardo's bruised, beaten body being thrown through the window where the turtles are staying, and basically a relentless attack the entire episode where they're forced to retreat down into the basement and then down into a room with one door where they're seemingly blown up and killed at the end of the episode.
Wow, that's kind of
dark.
Yeah. Oh, it gets even better as the seasons go. But basically the moment of the series comes in Return to New York, where the moment of the whole series, not just the season, comes in Return to New York, where they return to New York after being presumed dead, and they basically climb up.
That's a shocker.
Yes, they climb up the Shredder's Tower, and this is basically formed like the basis of this is one of my favorite pieces of media ever, this 3-part arc. And at the very end, Leonardo beheads the Shredder, who is this guy.
Wow.
And then the closing shot of the episode is the Shredder's decapitated body rising up, walking over to his helmet, picking it up, and walking off into the fire.
For kids.
That's wild. That's like... That's further than like Marvel movies go, Wow.
Yeah. Then with season 2, things start getting out of hand. Well, not out of hand. They start getting interesting because the first volume of season 2 is called Turtles in Space.
Of course. Why not?
What it is.
That's what we have to do next, is Turtles in Space.
Yes. And then with Secret Origins, you get to know the origins of the Shredder, which is he's actually a little alien inside a human exosuit. And that's how he survived the decapitation.
Wow.
And he's seemingly killed in this, but he comes
related to Krang, if I may ask.
Yes, they're based on the Krangs, but there's no actual Krang in this show.
Oh, okay.
And then the Shredder, except for maybe actually there is a throwaway joke about Krang, but yeah. Then Shredder comes back, of course, in this City at War saga, which is a pretty damn good saga. Then in season 3, things start getting shaken up. More characters get added, including this character called Agent Bishop, who's this complete badass. He's like Agent Smith in The Matrix. And he really ups the stakes there. And there's this great, one of the final episodes has a fight with him, and the way he ends it for the season is he gets an explosion, knocks him in the air. You see him flying through the air. Then you see this meat hook, a shot of a meat hook hanging, and a reaction shot of his face. And then there's a squelching sound, and you just see his legs hanging there in the shot. And then the next time the turtles see it, he's gone and off the meat hook. But it gets even darker than that, because there's this episode here called Same As It Never Was, which is when Donatello gets transported to an alternate future where, you know, the turtles are all beaten, you know, some of them are losing limbs, and the Shredder's basically 1984'd himself. And then they basically make one last assault on Shredder. But all these older turtles and everyone, they all get killed, basically. And Donnie's left to survive, and then he ends up getting transported out of there. That's known as one of the most darkest episodes of the show. And then they take it even darker in season 4. I don't have any of season 4 yet, but there's this one episode that didn't get aired. It actually got pulled from airing because the storyline was about this scientist who used to be a human, but every time he worked for the Shredder, and every time he failed, the Shredder would cut off a bit of his body parts. And eventually he was just a brain in the jar. So he basically grows himself a new body and transfers his consciousness in there. But the body starts decomposing. So there's one day where he wakes up, looks at his finger, and the end just drops off. And as his body decomposes, at one point he gets punched in the jaw, and his jaw just hangs there, and he like takes a moment to grab it and reattach it to his face.
Let's say it again, Rob. For kids.
For kids.
Yeah. Now this season, basically, the network was like, all right, this is getting a bit too dark. Oh yeah, one of the messages of season 4 is Leonardo has to learn that he tried his hardest, he gave it his all, and he still failed, and there is no shame in that, which ties into the Star Trek episode last time, because it's possible to make no mistakes and still lose. That's life.
Yeah.
You know?
Kobayashi Maru.
Yeah. So season 4 basically led to a bit of a reshuffle. They produced season 5, but they didn't air it. They shelved it and they made season 6 instead, which is much more kiddified, basically. They really scaled it back. Season 6 is shit. But they eventually did release season 5 on DVD. It's a shorter, truncated season, it introduces a lot of mystical elements. It's a very unique thing in its own right. There's a much more present, overarching story. But there was one episode that was basically, the plug was pulled on it at the production stage because it was just way too gruesome. Basically, there's this big beefcake character called Hun, who's an enforcer for the Shredder. There's this very obese guy in the story called the Garbage Man. And the original, they were going to do an origin story for them where they were conjoined twins separated by a back alley surgeon, and the Garbage Man was thrown aside basically as garbage, and Hun was kept. Now the plug was pulled on that very, very quickly because the kids did not need to see that.
For kids.
For kids.
Then there's season 7, which takes
Sebastian there. Sebastian, for kids.
Season 7 is the final season. It wraps it up nicely. It's not as dark as the other seasons. It still sort of fits the tone of season 6, but it's much better in quality. The interesting thing about season 7 is these DVDs were only released in Australia. You can only get season 7 on physical media in Australia.
That's cool.
So these are actually quite rare. And then to cap off the whole show, there's their movie, which was the multiverse movie before it was cool to make multiverse movies, because the 2003 Turtles made up to the 1980s Turtles. And the funny bit here is the 1980s Turtles think that the 2003 Turtles are all hardball and everything, and the 2003 Turtles hate the fact that the 80s Turtles are just joking and not taking things seriously. But then they all go to the Mirage Comics universe, which is actually a drawn universe, and the Mirage Turtles are there. And the Mirage Turtles think that the 2003 Turtles are a bunch of jokers, and the 2003 guys think that the Mirage guys are all hardball because they're narrating as they go because it's a comic book and everything.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's my
different generations together.
Yeah, that's my martial arts contribution to this show. Yes.
Now, we did have a question, but I also want to ask Dr. Kathryn a related question. Harris's son, what do you think of the arcade game they made in the 90s? Or is that too long ago for you? Yeah.
I was born in 99, so I was not present for any of that.
There you go. And my question for Dr. Kathryn is, do you remember that really awful NES Ninja Turtles game that we had, and it was like impossible.
Yeah, I still have it.
Oh, you still have it? Have you ever
A lot of
played
NES games are close to impossible.
Star Wars?
Super Star Wars.
Super Star Wars just as bad, but that Star Wars game was redonkulous. A lot of NES games were not designed to be winnable, really.
Yeah, it's from the arcade era where they wanted you to spend money, so they make it really hard. But you don't spend money on a Nintendo game, but the game design philosophy hadn't changed, so they still made it hard with limited tries.
Yeah. Well, I knew that was a hell of a round. That was one round that went 45 minutes. So that's pretty awesome. What do we have left? Kathryn, do you have anything left?
I don't have any. Well, I mean, I have other stuff in other parts of my house I could show, but I don't have anything right near me today. But I do have a fun little, I think, tidbit of interesting information that I learned reading this lovely book here. That people might find interesting about the Karate Kid films, which is Ralph Macchio talks a lot about when the great Pat Morita was hired to play Mr. Miyagi, probably the most iconic character associated with this story and these films. And thing that I learned from reading this book that I did not know is that no one wanted him to play that role.
What?
Yeah, including Ralph Macchio. When he heard that Pat Morita was being considered, he thought it was the most ridiculous thing he'd ever heard.
Was that because of his history on Happy Days or something like that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Mostly
Sorry, that was the wrong guy.
And also he did a lot of work as a stand-up comedian, and no one saw him as a serious actor.
I see.
And the role really called for that, but the people making the movie really wanted to bring in a Japanese actor, like a serious Japanese.
The right thing to do was
and that's what they wanted. And everyone that they auditioned and talked to, just like there was a language barrier there, and it was too hard to kind of and not just the language barrier, but they came across as kind of too hard and too cold. And if you recall, the Miyagi character is much more multifaceted than that.
Oh, absolutely. Because, when he's having Daniel-san do all of these chores, which we later find out are actually just, body training, he's both warm and distant and all of these different things. He's troubled. And, you can't quite get a fix on him. And for the first, hour of that movie, you're not even really sure what Daniel-san is doing, and you're not sure if Miyagi is just a flake or if he's a genuine kind of coach. And, that took a lot to perform that, because he's constantly, I remember being very confused about Miyagi for the first hour of that film, I thought this is going to be the heroes of Obi-Wan. But he's not. He's kind of a jerk. Oh, but he's nice. Oh, but he's a jerk. And anyway, he was amazing. He was amazing. And nothing against Jackie Chan, who I love. And a lot of people have been talking about the Jackie Chan movie. I love Jackie Chan, but he is an action star, primarily an action star. His acting is great for comedy because, partially because of that language barrier and that accent. He's able to perform certain lines in a funny way. Like when he's with Chris Tucker in the car going, "Beach Boys," it's like, it wouldn't have been funny if there was a white guy there going, "Hey, Beach Boys," But Jackie Chan's not that kind of an actor. He's just not. He doesn't deliver that kind of performance.
I will say this: do not see a Jackie Chan movie with a Chinese audience, because they laugh at different things.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's true. I went to see. What was that? I think it was Strike Force, or First Strike was one of Jackie Chan's films. And I went to see it with my friend Scott, and we saw it with a primarily Chinese Japanese audience. They laughed at completely different things, and it makes you feel a little bit like when I went to see, My Big Fat Greek Wedding. We saw it with a Greek audience. They kind of telegraphed what was coming up. But not with the Japanese or Chinese audiences, because it was just they laughed at completely different things. It was a little bit disquieting to see the film. When you see Rumble in the Bronx,
Yes, I saw in the theater, but in a ordinary Midtown theater. You know,
I brought as many people as I could to see that film because I thought it was hilarious. And then when I went to see First Strike, and with my friend Scott, we were all ready to laugh, and all of a sudden it was a completely different experience.
So
but yeah,
let me ask a follow-up question, which is like the audience is laughing at something, and you're like, were you able to understand what they saw funny in it, or are you still puzzled?
I'm still puzzled at some of the stuff that they were laughing at. I mean, some of the stuff, of course, Jackie Chan makes funny faces. He does funny things, but they were laughing at things that I was like, why is this funny? Because it doesn't, because it may be a difference in translation because it was subtitled. I remember that. I
remember Rumble in the Bronx was really badly dubbed.
It
threw me off. It was
hilarious. It was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious when Jackie Chan walks into the room and goes, "You are all garbage."
I remember that.
And
I don't know if Kathryn,
my friend Scott and I were completely thrown off by that and just laughed our asses off through the
Kathryn,
entire
do you remember when
movie.
the trailer came out for Rumble in the Bronx and I was all excited and I was like, "Oh, Kathryn, there's this new movie out. This Jackie Chan guy, and there's this awesome scene where he's like falling down and somebody says, 'Hey man, are you okay?' And he goes, 'No.'" And you're like, "Do you remember that?" And I just thought he was so badass, you know. Man, I do love the Rush Hour, the first Rush Hour.
Yeah,
but Rumble in the Bronx is so it's so freaking bad. It's hard to watch sometimes.
Well, if the eagle-eyed among you will catch the President's Choice pop can in the.
That's right. It was filmed in Canada. That's right.
Yes, it was filmed in Vancouver. Actually, they tried to make Vancouver look like New York.
Yes,
and somewhat successful. But there is a scene where you actually see one of the characters. It's a fairly major scene. They're holding in their hand a President's Choice. I believe it's like a Diet Cola.
That's funny.
That's hilarious.
And of course, if you lived in Toronto, I bet you could identify the neighborhoods too.
Okay. So who's our visitor?
Yeah, who is it?
This is Bruce.
Not named for Bruce Lee, perhaps.
No, he's named for Bruce Campbell, actually.
Okay.
That's just as good.
Let me just say groovy.
Rob, it is technically your turn if you have anything left to show.
I have a few kind of 80s things left to show, kind of.
Dr. Kathryn did an awesome job in the first half of the show. Oh my God.
No, I don't have the La La Land Karate Kid collection, but I do have the Lethal Weapon collection.
Oh, that's neat.
Which is
I just saw Bruce. Hang on, we got to change the view. Bruce had his face. Ah, shoot, he's gone. He had his face right in the camera, like right up in the camera.
So there's that. It's got all 4 movies in it. It's a really good collection. Some great music by Michael Kamen. Fantastic.
The late great Michael Kamen. There's Bruce.
Not necessarily karate related, but something that every Bruce is. Oh, there he is.
Come on, Bruce. There we go. A little bit. He's shy.
From one mustache to another. Nice whiskers, Bruce.
He sent me. Chris Sarr sent me a link privately, like a tabloid article about does Ralph Macchio wear a toupee, and it's like I that's the 3rd time he's asked, so that's why I'm acknowledging it. But I don't think we have a way to find out the answer to that question. You're looking at the wrong 4 people. You might want to call up, like, I don't know, Perez Hilton. It might be the guy, not me. Thanks, Chris, for your question. Go watch hockey. Sorry, Rob.
All right, no problem. Now, again, not Karate Kid related, but something I got from college many, many years ago. I don't know if you can see it. It's a Sopranos money clip.
Oh, that is neat.
And it was handed to me by a guy that looked like a good fella. I swear. He was big, burly, and Italian, and he handed this to me and said, "You want one of these?" I go, Okay, sure, no problem. I'll take it.
You know, the weird thing about The Sopranos is when you binge it, you start talking in that New Jersey accent. It happens.
I ran into that with a friend years ago. I was doing a Junior Ranger, and all day long we started talking like this British guy, you know, and it was always peace off and all of this kind of thing. By the end of the day, I had this drawl, this British drawl to my voice, and I couldn't get rid of it. I had to seriously sit and say to myself, no, these are the words that you say. And then, so I had to, so like I said, I had a little bit of a British accent. And then all of a sudden I had to seriously sit there and go to get it out of my system.
I believe you.
To finally do that. And one more thing, not related to Karate Kid, but I think Harrison might appreciate this.
Oh, it's Batman Lego. Okay,
it's the Lego Batman, but it's the Batman, the Batman the movie, like the Lego Batman movie.
Okay, I get you.
Yeah, because I looked for he has the specific the utility belt and that sort of thing. I absolutely adore the Lego Batman movie. It's one of my favorites. Just for Will Arnett's performance alone, I think he's brilliant, and I've seen him come up on a few occasions. He was actually in I can't remember exactly what they called it, but the show was called I think it was called Master Builders. It was on CTV, and he was the host, and I thought that was brilliant. So yeah, cool. I have other things, but that's basically what I've got for now.
Well, I was going to show my reaction figures, but we don't have time for that. So what I'll do instead, because Karate Kid, there is a Karate Kid subline in the reaction figures. I'm surprised Dr. Kathryn doesn't have any.
I do have one.
Okay.
I forgot to bring it to this general area for this.
I'm just going to grab a reaction figure so we can compare and see what they're all about. But they're also very expensive. They're like getting to be $24, you know, for a figure that in the 80s would have cost $4. Now we're paying $24.
While Mike does it, I'm just going to show off a couple minifigures. This is Rob, King of Sharks. And I do have quite a few. I have a nice collection of these guys. This is Luke and Dak. The Rebel Flight uniform is one of my favorite outfits in all of Star Wars.
Right.
So that's Luke and Dak. This is Biggs with a yellow head, and this is the other one supposed to be Wedge.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably more like Zev Seneska. Then there's a Rogue One Y-Wing pilot who uses a different colored outfit. Cool. And then this one's going to be more important in a couple months, but there are...
me! That's me!
Yes. And because we're all Star Wars fans, if you do want to see it, I do have Luke's lightsaber within arm's reach if you want to see it again.
I'll just do mine real quick. Reaction figures are a 3 3/4 inch figure, which is very similar to classic Star Wars. This is a repro of a classic Star Wars figure. It's meant to be a prototype when they used to just mold the bits in whatever colored plastic they have. But it was an opportunity to have a 5-point of articulation action figure with a little gun. Although Stormtrooper's technically only 4 points of articulation because the head and body are one piece. But you had the leg, the arm, and this is sort of like the classic, what they call the 5PA action figure. And Star Wars is kind of like the granddaddy of them all. But
Lego Stormtroopers can't move their head as well either.
Oh, that's right, they can't. Yeah, because of the helmet. There's also a Marvel Legends, or I don't think it's called Legends. I don't know what it's called. Similar series, 5PA, totally compatible with the original Star Wars. And then we have the reaction figures, which have so many different licenses. This one here is Rob Halford from Judas Priest. He's holding his bullwhip in one hand. He's got his microphone in the other hand, and he has actual metal chains hanging from his belt. And this is my personal favorite. I think Kathryn would acknowledge that. If I had a Rob Halford action figure when I was a kid, it would have been pretty damn cool. And they do so many franchises. They do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They do Karate Kid. help me out, Rob. G.I. Joe, Transformers,
Star Trek, for
Star
sure.
Trek, and TNG.
Alien was one that I saw. What was it? I actually saw
Iron Maiden.
Yeah, I thought I saw Rockford Files
Ghost.
one time.
Might have been. They Live with Roddy Piper. I have a couple They Live characters. But yeah, they do make Karate Kid and reaction figures. And aside from the price, I'd recommend that you check them out. And even if, buy one and love it.
Now, I have a reaction figure, a Star Trek Spock. I got it for $2 at a dollar store.
Oh my god! I guess I got to go to dollar.
Isn't that overpriced?
Well, yeah, kind of. Yeah.
See, he comes out with these little zingers every once in a while. Everybody thinks Harrison's, he's the quiet one. He's the George Harrison of the group. Yeah. Then he zings you.
But yeah, I mean, you brought up the Aquaman figure and called it me, I think.
Oh yeah.
Oh, when you were doing the sharks, you were dressed as a shark. Yeah.
It's not Aquaman. It's a different head and hair that's more like Rob's, but it is Aquaman's torso.
This is actually from an Aquaman toy, so I could get a mechanical shark for your Mega Shark versus Mecha Shark.
That's cool.
Yeah. I'm hoping Rob King of Sharks can appear in T-Bone Man at some point.
Kathryn, do you remember buying me a G.I. Joe that came with like a little rubber shark? I'm pretty sure you did at one point. Or maybe it was a mechanical shark. Yeah, it was. It was a mechanical shark. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't remember shark. I remember other animals, but not a shark.
It was in the 90s when I decided to buy a few token G.I. Joes just to have G.I. Joes again. Yeah. Anyway, that was an awesome show. Thank you so much, both of you, and of course Harrison as always. But that was really awesome, and I'm absolutely thrilled. I think this is probably the best Karate Kid content that I've ever seen on YouTube. So thank you guys so much. We will have you back for future subjects. I know we're going to do a fantasy kind of Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones based episode at some point in the near future.
Works for me.
We'll book that soon. For now, we're going to go out on a song as we always do. And since it's Dr. Kathryn's first appearance on Grab a Stack of Rock, it's only appropriate that we play the only music I have that she's a musician on, which is Last Train by T-Bone Erickson and Dr. Kathryn. So thank you guys. I assume we'll be back next week, and we'll see you then.
Okay.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.